Welcome everybody to the B Podcast, the podcast of the Barcelona International Dance Exchange. Today in our episode number 84, we have as a guest Rakesh Sukesh. Rakesh, thank you so much for your time and having a moment with us.
With pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
So the first question that we always try to start with our guest is about who they are. We talked before, that we used to define ourselves through the things we do. So if we can, enlighten us, who is Rakesh nowadays in 2024 in this really warm moment in Deltebre?
Yes. So I'm come from a place called Kerala, which is South India, from a very humble village. That's where I was born. But I grew up in multiple places in India, different part of India, which changes a lot because different language, different cultures. So my life has been always nomadic. So never really felt that I belonged to one point. It's always kept changing. And I come from a family, for some reason, or I don't know why, but my ancestors, my grandmother, my parents, they all been busy with the whole yogic philosophies, but not the asana practice, not the physical practice, but more the philosophical part and the rituals and stuff. So it's always been there in my family, but never really been imposed on me. So yeah, along growing up as a teenager, I experienced Bollywood dance, which I enjoyed at that moment. It gives you a lot of joy and confidence, and you can show off among your friends. And and then I tried the film industry. I could not connect to it because what happens behind the screen is not pretty like you see in the movies. It's a lot of power game and pushing each other, elbowing each other to get the fame. Because in India, you're a Bollywood star, you're a god. They treat you like a god. So everybody somehow wants to get that fame. And I could not connect to that kind of environment. And also Bollywood dance itself, I felt after a while superficial because you always have to show happy even when you're not happy when you dance. And then I stumbled upon contemporary dance. There was a company in India. They were kind of the first big company doing contemporary dance. And they were also trying to figure out what is Indian contemporary dance. So I got into the company, and there I started to train in martial art called Kalaripayat, which is considered one of the ancient martial arts, almost 2,000, 3,000 years old form. So that was one of the foundation of my training. And at the same time, I also started to go more into yogasana practice, the physical aspect, to change my body, because through Bollywood, you create a lot of stiff, the movements are sharp and compact. And yeah, of course, India has a very rich culture. It dates back always thousands of years back, and people are still carrying that knowledge. But however, the idea of contemporary, especially in the performing art, it's stagnated. It's not really grown so much because after post-colonial era, we have not invested on developing art further, rather using art as more a heritage. So hence the dance did not evolve because people were busy putting food on the plate. That was the priority. So when I came to Europe, I was a bit surprised to see all these different researches that has been happening in dance, and that opened my curiosity to come to Europe and study myself more. I guess all along my main focus and also the impulse from me is to know myself more, to discover myself and able to express myself through a kind of a practice. Yeah, then I was in a project and somebody asked me to give a class to a company called Sidilarbi as a warm-up. So I gave a class from this martial art. And they liked it. They were surprised, okay, what is this form? And there was a dancer called Ben Fury. Then he was teaching here.
And also as a friend of Roberto.
Yes.
Yeah, we know each other since a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
He came from the hip hop. No?
Yeah, exactly. So he introduced me to Roberto, and then we met for a coffee, and then we said, okay, let's try. That's how I came to Deltebre Dance in 2011, first time. A long time ago. At that time, I was teaching more real martial art class, but from the martial art, the basic preparation of the physicality. That's what my foundation of my practice. And then, I start traveling, moving around, and start to look at different researches, different cultures, different thinking. And in the beginning, I was kind of fascinated with all the differences that we all have. That, how Spanish food is different, or how the cultures are different. And after a while, it changed. For me, I was become more curious about what makes us one, where we all connect. And then I start to look into, I don't know, I always fascinated by science and yogic philosophies, which talks about human potential, the capacities of human, scientific point of view, or neuroscience, or in yogic science. And yogic science is all about how to do it through a practice, how to experience certain potential in us through a practice, and which spoke about brain thousands of years ago. And then it clicked for me, all that I grew up from my culture. It's a moment that I come from a background of knowledge that all there. And then with my teaching, it becomes a research, and I try to draw tools from yogi cultures into a movement practice, where this technique now, it's more an interconnected technique, and that becomes my identity, and where I'm researching myself, and whatever I research and experience I share, and that becomes a research also when I share with the community, because I work with very diverse community and keep checking how they all resonating with it. So yeah, that kind of become in a way my identity at the moment.
Super, super well explained. And then also I want to also invite Olga to ask you a few questions, because she have a lot of interaction with Asia, and especially with some of your practices. And somehow you also open the door to ask you. You name some of the, let's say, spice that bring to the next question is, what do you think that, or what do you feel that you bring to the performing arts, as a person, through all this, knowledge, all this ancient culture that is behind you, it's visible that is you and your family and the story and India, and thousands of years behind. So coming to the present, what is your sense of your feeling about your offer, know?
My culture it's quite specific. The more I spend time in abroad, I feel like it's 98% different, like completely different than the Western thinking and Western ways, at least from what I experienced. If you go to a city, you see a big 100 floor mall, and next to it you see a temple. And you go to the deepest part of India, you see symbols and signs everywhere across the world. Doesn't matter what space, even including inside a mall, you might find a temple. And this temple symbolizes not a god, actually. It's an intention for us to focus on. And the culture is all about knowing yourself to your true selves, or like we call it enlightenment or moksha, these topics. So hence, it's very much prominent, this quest about who are we and why are we here. And so for me, it's what I carry, and I move, and movement makes me connect to myself. And I breathe, and breath makes me connect to myself. And I deal with my mind, my ego, my environment. And so I'm trying to see, of course, I was fascinated with this Bollywood dance, which is entertainment, and to be in cinema, later to the black box. Now, more time passes, I'm trying to not focus so much on how to use this product so then you can, I don't know, get through an audition or make another next piece of art. Rather, how to can create a practice that can put us in a process of just knowing our different layers. Of course, again, in my culture, the intentions are clear, that why you go through this with a very clear purposes. But here, people come from a variety of reasons. So I create a practice that is really about us, human, but including all of us in our environment. So I guess, just a practice of interconnectedness of us, that connecting everything as one whole thing. So it's not just the body, or just not the mind or spirit, it's everything working at the same time.
Yeah. So like multidimensional us,
Yes, we are, right? Every time. I mean, I speak with my intellectual part of the brain, I am available here with my body. my breath, my energy, everything is functioning. So to create an awareness that is multifacets.
Olga, what do you want to ask?
What I would like to ask. I would like to ask you, how do you think we can connect with this generation that are so disconnected of their bodies through exactly what you were saying right now, like as a self-awareness tool, because it's a big challenge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, either there is people that are really interested in dance, and there is part of it, like a whole generation that are disconnected completely of their bodies and thrown themselves into technology. Like how we can just
Yeah.
get them back.
Well, I would not really say separate them from me. Let's say I would not say that new generation. I feel the new generation is suffering what the old generation did. Like the systems the old generation created, the world that created whatever that we wanted to have more profit, more control over the society, people's mind, people's emotions, people's ego, and we can see that in young generation. Basically, they're suffering because of the bigger system. So I don't think they're separate from each other. So what can I say about it? I guess the entire system has to work to bring that back again. It's not their responsibility anymore. I mean, if you look at the food that we eat, it does not have enough nutrients like we used to have before. At least I have coconut from my tree that I can drink. I know it's coconut. Here you go to supermarket, they call it coconut water. It's not. So who created that? It's all of us, the corporate, whatever. So we infuse these kind of systems into the new generation, and we are also expecting them to be good. I think is unfair. And so for me, I think, yeah, I mean, of course, when people spend billions of dollars for me to how to manipulate a new generation so they can get addicted to my product. If this is a system they're living in, they are going to be victim for that. And whose responsibility? Community, parents, all of us have to play a game, and we cannot just blame on that. This is what I believe in. But having said that, working with the new generation, I do seek they are genuinely suffering also. They're genuinely suffering to connect to themselves, not able to deal with their mind, not able to deal with their insecurities and judgments and frustrations and stuff. I mean, I'm an immigrant, first generation, coming from India. It was not an easy process, but I came through a system where it knows how to deal with chaos. I taught how to deal with chaos.
I can say that I've been in India many times.
I mean, now, lack of better, let's say, example. In Europe, you don't have problem with water, drinking water. You don't have problem with electricity. In India, every 1 hour you have electricity going. So the suffering is different. I mean, you can go even another place where people had food for a week. So the sufferings are different, but somehow the emotional and psychological endurance is so fragile because, of course, everybody's addicted to this dopamine release and endorphin release in the brain. You constantly need, recognition, appreciation from the community that you're good, you're good, you're good. And when you don't have it, you look for more release in your brain. So yeah, they are suffering because of that. So of course, dance can bring that. But even in dance, I teach in big famous schools in the world. I go there, people are unhappy. Like the young generation are unhappy. So I don't know, it's just about the movement. It's also why you move, right? You can be a great artist, very depressed, dancing. I have seen many famous artists depressed. And I'm like, you dance, how can you be depressed? I see, like, if you're working in a bank, if somebody's working 8 hours sitting, depressed, it makes sense. As a dancer, I should be able to say, go and dance for half an hour, you'll feel happy. But then somebody who dances for 8 hours, you're different. So it's a lot to do with ego, mind, how do you involve in life, I guess.
I think there is a difference between achievement or the art of achievement and the art of fulfillment.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think, when you are seeking for the goal to happen and there is no joy in the process, it's when, you have to enjoy the process because the goal can not be reached
Yeah.
at any given moment. So
Yeah.
if the process is not joyful,
Yeah.
and joyful because you grow, not because it's
Yeah.
happy. Joyful
Yeah.
because you are learning. Could be many reasons
Yeah.
why it's joyful.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna be frustrated.
Yeah, I would take that bit further even. You know, when I grew up, I was not joyful. I was not happy every day. I was not sad every day, but I just calm. I was just peaceful, right? Like I was fine by just looking at a tree and climbing on a tree and sitting, waiting for my friends to come. So I think we kind of over exaggerated with happiness and joy. It needs to be always there. I think it's a big of a task to ask for. I think to let us know that to be bored is fine. To be, yeah, just to be alone is fine. And to be, yeah, peaceful, it's fine. And then the happiness and joy, all this is the consequence of certain processes and it goes ups and down. But how to harness state of neutrality? So it's not about, are you happy today? No, maybe you're not happy today, but that's fine not to be happy today. I think to giving that preciousness to just being bored and just being peaceful more value than these extreme emotions. I mean, this is what I would say.
Absolutely. No, I think we all three concur in this idea of, and we talk a lot with Olga because we know each other since a long time ago, that it's almost illegal to be bored, you know? It's almost illegal to do nothing, you know? To be, I mean, the contemplation, you know, to be just watching to the ceiling and, I mean, lose your time.
Yeah.
And now, of course, you know, we have the chance when we were kids to cross these moments.
Yeah.
But now we are inside this, and but the guys who are younger and they just born with this,
Yeah.
let's say, tyranny of timing is quite challenging for them.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you, or we would like to ask you a few more questions. And what do you feel now? I mean, you share with us all the things that you are bringing to the table. Let's say, you know, to the big table, but and also you share some of the things that are coming to you, and because you have also this circular energy and ambition. What do you think that these all these things from this performing artist exchange with talking and dancing with so much people are coming to you?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think it's a reflection. I feel like I'm carrying a mirror everywhere I go, and I'm knowing myself through others' experience, others' presence, right? When I could come from India with certain beliefs, and when I was in India, I didn't knew these are my beliefs. It's the way of life there, right? And sometimes you don't question these things, you just follow. And actually, I would say I was not so self-reflecting and questioning and challenging my own culture. I would just follow because everybody does that. And hence I was also not so passionate about it. I was a bit like, why do I have to do these things, you know? But when I came abroad, when I met people from different cultures, and I start to see synergy between humanity and connection, and that made me learn about myself more. So I feel like this interaction is always a mirror, and also to re-question myself, readapt myself. So that's what I would say in a philosophical sense. Of course, from an art perspective, you always get inspired by different geniuses creating art and how they, you know, invent. This is always inspiring.
And besides the movements, the dance and all the culture background that you are bringing to the table and also carrying with you, what other things that that maybe you feel that also inspiring you? You know, because it's visible that I know you not personally, but I saw you many times, and you are a really, I mean, close person. You know, it's easy to talk with you. So what other spices coming? Maybe for the food, and also because India is quite spicy. But what kind of other influence you think nowadays are, you know, bringing you to question yourself, to try new things, or move the things all over?
I would say, you know, sometimes when I'm alone in my living room, I ask myself, what is that I really want to do, right? And of course, I would love to. It sounds very romantic. I would love to go somewhere in India, live in a mountain, peaceful, and not worry about anything. Just meditate or just connect to myself and figure out who am I, right? But I'm also swimming in the world of desire, ambition. My ego wants to be there. I like my names to be in different places, and I like people like me, and all these things are going on. So I am, in a way, dealing with my ego. And so I feel like this interaction that I have with this very diverse community from different cultures, different genders, different age, helps me to keep questioning who am I in my ego level, I would say. So that's kind of like the primary thing that I'm always busy with. And actually, honestly speaking, like art and dance, for me, it's like the secondary element. It's like, it's how I interact with people. Like this is how I communicate with people. This is how I take information from people and tell my story. But that's not who I am full time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why we make the first question about who you are.
Exactly.
You know? But we tend sometimes to explain ourselves through the things we do.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's just a physical reaction. Last question before we challenge you with the game that we started last year is if we open a new question this year about if you have a moment that you think about quitting, like this mountain stuff. Because this environment can be really challenging.
Yeah.
Because all the things that you already really well described. So you thought about quitting once?
Oh, many times. Many times. I mean, like as an immigrant, you face a lot of things, right? Like you are exotic, and so you get invited. You're very exotic, and also you don't get invited because you're exotic.
Yeah.
So you deal with this a lot.
Absolutely.
So several times I'm like, why should I do this? And why here should I do this? But I guess it's, I am close to my mother, so I always talk to her, and then we talk about karma, the life and the purpose and duty, and so whatever that you are experiencing is what you got to go through and learn through it. So hence we navigate whatever it is, whatever lives bring, and wherever you are, you're meant to be. So, and meanwhile, it's also luxury life. I mean, I'm an artist, I go to different countries and people are welcoming me meanwhile. And so you have this double game going on. So I think this bitter pill I can swallow. So I decide to stick around, at least for now, but I don't know for how long.
I have a last question. If it was not dance,
Yeah.
what it would be?
If it was not dance, I would say something, a process that's still about mind, body, spirit, soul. I don't know in what direction it would have been. I haven't thought about it. Actually, even this, I thought I would never become a dancer. It was not a plan. It's just following what is coming to me. Basically, that's what I was doing. Although I studied automobile engineering and stuff like that, which I really not, when I look at a car, I'm like, what is this thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel complete in this journey, and it gives me, and I'm trying to be honest of myself, at least to myself. Of course, when you're interacting with people, you try to be as honest as possible because you never want to reveal your full self to people. So it's also a study of myself in that sense. So
Great. So for the last, we start like this year the game of that every guest leave a question for the next one. So that we're talking with somebody else, but you don't know the order. So without knowing who be the next one, what do you like to ask him or her or them?
Oh, okay. When is it enough?
For you, Maria Jose Villar and Felix Arjona from Andalusia, from the PAD organization, it's a professional association of dance in Andalusia. They left you one question that is resonate with your thoughts. Is I say this first in Spanish because it's for how they formulate it. ¿Puede la danza cambiar el mundo? Can dance change the world?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. But again, it's about intention. It's about intention, why you dance and with what intention you dance. So that has to be clear.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and it was a pleasure to hear you and to know you a bit more.
Thank you so much. I had fun talking. Actually, it was good. Thank you. Yes. I mean,
Okay, was the episode number 84, and see you in the next one. Thank you so much.